All right, Billie stans, let's talk. Hit Me Hard and Soft, Billie Eilish's latest masterpiece, has been out for a few months now, and let's be real, it's been living in my head rent-free. This album is pure gold. If you haven't given it a deep listen yet, you're missing out on one of the most powerful albums of the year. From the raw vulnerability to the cutting edge production, this record is a journey, one that feels both intimately personal and universally relatable. Whether you're dancing in your room or crying into your pillow, this album gets you. I know I'm late, but today we're diving deep into the meaning behind each track, the amazing production behind it, and why this might just be her most personal album yet. First off, Hit Me Hard and Soft is Billie's third album. And let's face it, it's probably on its way to becoming her second Album of the Year Grammy winner. As always, Billie teamed up with her brother Phineas, and together, they've created something really special. 10 tracks, 45 minutes, and not a single filler in sight. Billie and Phineas are back at it, showcasing why they're one of the most dynamic duos in music today. Phineas's production is tight and lush, while Billie's lyrics and vocals are as raw and real as ever. This album is all about duality, and, thematically, it talks about love, loss, self-reflection, and explores Billie's journey with her sexuality. The way she's poured her experiences and emotions into these songs is something only Billie could do. Let's break down the album track by track, because every single one of these songs deserves a moment. So, the album kicks off with Skinny, and right from the start, it feels like a follow-up to What Was I Made For? Not just lyrically, but even in the way it sounds. It's almost like we're continuing a conversation Billie started with us a while ago. Skinny dives deep into some pretty heavy stuff. Billie's insecurities, the way she sees herself versus how others see her, and even the fear of growing older. But of course, she does it in that signature Billie way. Honest, raw, and just a little bit haunting. In the first verse, Billie brings up a line that really hits. People say I look happy just because I got skinny, but the old me is still me and maybe the real me, and I think she's pretty. She is saying that she actually liked how she looked before, and that's who she really is. It's a powerful statement about self-acceptance and rejecting the pressure to change just to fit into someone else's idea of beauty. The second verse takes us into another layer of her story. Billie talks about how she's been quieter lately, especially after what some people have called her flop era, but even though she's been laying low, people can't stop talking about her. It's almost like she's addressing the critics head on, reminding us that no matter what, she's always going to be part of the conversation. Now, the bridge of Skinny feels really special. It's like Billie is speaking directly to her fans, and maybe even to herself. There's a kind of vulnerability here that's both relatable and heart-wrenching. Then we get to the outro, which is this gorgeous, sweeping orchestral moment. It feels like Billie is giving us, and maybe even herself, a proper goodbye to the past. It's cinematic and emotional, and honestly, it's the perfect way to wrap up everything she's been saying in the song. Skinny isn't the first time Billie has tackled the theme of body image in her music. If you go back to I Don't Want to Be You Anymore, you'll see she's been open about her struggles with appearance and the pressure to fit into certain standards for a while now. Then there's All the Good Girls Go to Hell and Overheated. Both tracks explore how society puts these crazy expectations on us, especially when it comes to how we look, and how that intersects with the idea of perfection. Skinny is definitely one of those tracks that sticks with you long after it's over. Billie's ability to turn her personal struggles into something so universally relatable is what makes her music so powerful. This song, like much of her work, invites us to reflect on our own insecurities and the pressures we face, while also reminding us that it's okay to embrace who we really are. Following the emotional depth of Skinny, Lunch comes in with a completely different vibe. It's got this fresh, playful sound that still feels very Billie, but with a rush of energy that's totally new. The splashy guitar riffs and the heavy bass line drive the track, making it instantly catchy. But, as always with Billie, there's more going on beneath the surface. In the first verse, Billie uses this fun food metaphor, talking about how she could eat that girl for lunch and how she just can't get enough. It's cheeky and bold, definitely playing with the idea of indulgence, both in a literal and metaphorical sense. The line, "keeping it under Claire," is interesting too. It seems to hint at keeping things low-key, kind of like the secretive vibe we got in NDA. Billie's always been good at giving us lyrics that we can unpack for days, and this is no exception. But it's the second verse where things really get fun. Billie drops lines like, "You need a seat, I'll volunteer, and she's the headlights, I'm the deer." These are the kinds of lyrics that you'll see popping up all over social media. They're playful, a bit daring, and totally embody that flirty, confident energy. And that's what makes this track feel like it's made for the radio. It's catchy, it's bold, and it's still unmistakably Billie. Now, the bridge is where Billie gets a bit more metaphorical. She sings about knowing how to bend, which feels like a clever double entendre. It adds another layer to the song's exploration of identity and desire. And then, as we head into the outro, the whole thing breaks down with Billie using her breathy vocal chops. The contrast between the soft piano notes and the hard guitar riffs towards the end creates this amazing tension that just pulls you in. Honestly, this is what makes Lunch a pop masterpiece. Lunch is definitely one of Billie's boldest tracks yet. She's not just playing with sounds here, she's playing with themes that are a lot more explicit than what we're used to hearing from her. Comparing a romantic encounter to a meal, that's Billie being as bold and unapologetic as ever. It's also one of the most openly queer tracks she's released, which adds to the album's overarching themes of identity and self-discovery. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Billie even mentioned how writing this song helped her understand her queer identity better, which is pretty powerful. So, Lunch isn't just a fun, catchy track, it's also a significant moment for Billie as an artist. It's confident, it's daring, and it's got that Billie Eilish twist we all love. Whether you're here for the beats or the deeper meaning, this song's got something for everyone. CHIHIRO, the third track on Hit Me Hard and Soft, takes us into a mystical, almost otherworldly space that directly references the iconic film Spirited Away. This track is pure magic, blending hypnotic and sultry vibes with an underlying sense of mystery that mirrors the shadowy, enigmatic nature of the movie. Lyrically, Billie draws a parallel between the film's plot, where the main character, CHIHIRO, has her name taken from her, and her own experience of losing something deeply personal. In the song, it's her love that's been taken away, leaving her feeling invisible and misunderstood. It's as if she's on a journey, searching for both spiritual and physical reconnection, much like Chihiro's quest to reclaim her identity. In the second verse, Billie sings about turning around and not seeing a face, which feels like a nod to the faceless, no-face character in the film. Or it could be a reference to the moment when CHIHIRO sees her parents transformed into pigs. Both are haunting images that capture a sense of loss and disorientation. The chorus, with its opaque and almost cryptic lyrics, makes you wonder how Billie sees herself in this story. Phineas's production on CHIHIRO is nothing short of brilliant. The layered synths and the chaotic yet controlled soundscape perfectly capture the essence of the film's aesthetic. The line, "Open up the door, can you open up the door?" stands out with its childlike tone mixed with fear, creating a moment that's both tender and unsettling. Billie's ability to convey raw emotion through her voice is, once again, unmatched. This line feels like someone standing on the brink of something terrifying, trying to muster the courage to face it. The song's ambiguous ending leaves us wanting more, making it one you'll want to hit repeat on. Birds of a Feather is easily the most romantic track she's written. From the first listen, it's the kind of song that sweeps you off your feet with its tender portrayal of a love that's meant to last a lifetime, even if it's tinged with uncertainty. The production is stripped down but powerful, allowing Billie's vocals to really shine. There's an ethereal quality to her voice that just soars, and that little synth vocal motif throughout the track hooks you in immediately. The title, Birds of a Feather, plays on the familiar saying that people who are alike naturally belong together. Billie reflects on this idea, recognizing that while their love might not last forever, she's completely at peace with that. It's an acceptance that adds a bittersweet depth to the track. The pre-chorus is particularly moving. It's a moment where the song slows down, letting the sadness sink in before she admits that she'll love them until the day she dies. Verse 2 shifts the tone slightly, adding some grit to the song. Billie calls out her lover, acknowledging their flaws and the possibility that they're not taking things seriously or their insecurities in the relationship. This moment adds a layer of realism to the romance, grounding the song in the complexities of real relationships. But despite these doubts, she keeps going, holding on to the love that's worth fighting for. The final chorus is where the emotion really peaks. The way Billie layers the refrain hits hard, especially when she sings about knowing this person in another life and how they still have that same look in their eye. When she says, "I love you, don't act so surprised," it feels like the culmination of everything that's come before, a beautiful, heartfelt declaration that leaves a lasting impact. Wildflower is the 5th track on the album, and it's a real gut punch of an acoustic ballad. Billie Eilish takes us through the emotional roller coaster of comforting a friend after a tough breakup, only to later find herself in a romantic relationship with that same friend's ex. The song dives deep into the messy, complicated feelings of inadequacy and insecurity that arise when you're in a relationship haunted by someone's past. Billie doesn't shy away from the complexities of these emotions. She sings about the blurred boundaries and the constant struggle of competing with a ghost, someone who's no longer there but whose presence is still felt. It's wild to think that Billie was actually friends with her lover's ex and had to be the one to comfort her. The chorus really captures the haunting nature of this situation, painting a vivid picture of being burned and haunted, just like the ex. There's a striking contrast in the line "happy and free in leather," where Billie compares herself to the ex, highlighting the differences that make her feel like she's constantly coming up short. The outro of the song shifts into a ghostly, almost eerie sound, which underscores the realization that this relationship is doomed. It's a clever production detail that adds to the story, making the ending feel inevitable. The title Wildflower might also be a nod to Wildflower Cases, a brand created by Devin Lee Carlson, who was once in a relationship with Billie's now ex-boyfriend Jesse Rutherford, the lead singer of The Neighborhood. There's been speculation that Billie and Devin became friends and were even spotted together earlier this year, adding another layer of intrigue to the song's story. The Greatest is the emotional centerpiece of the album, much like Happier Than Ever was on its predecessor. This track is all about the frustration and anger that comes from being in a one-sided relationship. Billie pours out her feelings of exhaustion after working so hard to make things work, only to be met with indifference. The song captures that moment when you realize you've been giving everything to someone who doesn't even appreciate it. When Billie sings the chorus, "Man, am I the greatest?" it's laced with a heavy dose of sarcasm. It's like she's questioning herself. Did she really think she could fix things? Did she really think she was enough to save this relationship? There's a sense of bitter irony here as she starts to doubt her own worth because of how she was treated. As the song progresses, you can feel the resentment building. She lists out all the good traits she brought to the relationship, and you can hear the frustration in her voice. The second chorus is where it all starts to boil over, leading to an explosive moment of raw emotion. It's like she's been holding everything in, and now it's finally bursting out. The bridge is where Billie lets it all out. She admits that she loved this person deeply, but she needed more. She wanted passion, love, and real connection, but instead, she got something half-hearted. The final chorus is calm but resolute. She's done fighting for something that was never going to be what she needed. The line, "You said your heart was jaded. You couldn't even break it. I shouldn't have to say it. You could have been the greatest," is a powerful way to wrap up the song. Billie knows she's given it her all, and now she's walking away, knowing that she deserves better. L'amour de ma vie is hands down one of the standout tracks on the album, and probably my personal favorite. The title translates to "the love of my life" in French, but don't be fooled. It's not the romantic ballad you might expect. Instead, Billie gives us a 2-part masterpiece that starts off with this cool, jazzy vibe reminiscent of Billie Bossa Nova. In the first half, Billie doesn't hold back as she roasts her ex with a level of precision that's almost surgical. The chorus is petty perfection. She wishes him the best, but the twist is that she's lying. He wasn't the love of her life. Not even close. By the second verse, Billie reveals that he's already moved on, but she's not taking any blame. She tried, and that's all she needed to do. Just when you think the song has reached its peak, the bridge shifts everything. Billie realizes that while she might have been the love of his life, he was definitely not hers. This realization brings a sense of closure, and she wraps up the first part with another sharp refrain. Then comes the twist. The line, "You moved on," signals a shift, and suddenly we're plunged into this 80s-inspired synth jam with a vibe that feels like something out of Blinding Lights. In this second part, Billie explores the emotional chaos of love and heartbreak, but there's a shift in tone. Her voice takes on a carefree, almost effortless quality, as if she's finally free from the weight of the relationship. As the synths pulse and the beat drives forward, Billie's confidence shines through. The vocoder adds a layer of cool detachment, emphasizing that she's over it. Really over it. By the end of the song, it's clear that her ex was just using her, and Billie's moved on to better things. This track is a perfect example of how she can mix vulnerability with strength, delivering a song that's both emotionally raw and musically captivating. The Diner is a haunting dive into the darker side of fame, with Billie stepping into the shoes of a stalker, a chilling perspective that's drawn from her own unsettling experiences with obsessive fans. Sonically, it takes us back to the moody, gritty production of her debut album, creating a smoky, almost claustrophobic atmosphere where Billie's vocals are layered under this harsh, electronic synth haze. The lyrics are narrated from the viewpoint of a stalker who's completely fixated on Billie, obsessed to the point of madness. Lines like, "Bet I could change your life," "You could be my wife," reveal the stalker's delusional fantasies. This character is unhinged, having already been to jail, but still determined to win her over. The diner, which serves as the setting in the song, is where they believe they'll reunite with their lover, a twisted, desperate hope driving them to cross all sorts of boundaries. Throughout the track, Billie explores the themes of obsession and desperation, painting a portrait of someone who's lost touch with reality. This person has been writing letters, dodging the police, and leaving behind a trail that points straight to them. There's a disturbing intensity to how they justify their actions, convinced that their persistence will eventually pay off, even as the walls close in. While the lyrics primarily depict the mindset of a crazed fan, there's a subtle ambiguity that suggests Billie could also be exploring her own obsessive tendencies towards a lover, mirroring the intense emotions found elsewhere on the album. This duality adds depth to the track, making it even more compelling. The song ends on an eerie note, with the stalker declaring they still have their ex's number, and ominously hinting that if anything happens to the ex's new partner, it was definitely them. The track closes with a phone number. If you call it, you hear Billie's voice saying she can't hear you, but will call you back.
Hello? Hello? Wait, I can't hear you. Hello? Hello? Hold on, let me call you back.
This unsettling touch blurs the lines between reality and fiction, leaving listeners with a sense of unease that lingers long after the song ends. Bittersweet, the 9th track on Hit Me Hard and Soft, is a complex two-part song that plays heavily on production to convey its themes. The title itself is a clever twist on the word bittersweet, swapping out sweet for sweet to evoke the image of Billie left bitter and alone in a hotel room, detached from any sense of sweetness or satisfaction. In this track, Billie explores feelings of distance from her own emotions and desires, caught between the longing for a meaningful relationship and the need to protect herself. The conflict is palpable as she dreams of love, but knows deep down that it's something she can't fully have or trust. The first half of Bittersweet is a synth-heavy, almost murky soundscape that feels like being submerged in an ocean of unresolved emotions. Billie sings about a love she's been warned against, one that's more of a fantasy than a reality. The synths create an atmosphere that's both alluring and unsettling, mirroring the tension between her dreams and the cold truth. The second half shifts into a more relaxed yet eerie vibe, anchored by steady synths and repetitive murmurs. This part feels dreamlike, but in a way that resembles sleep paralysis, where you're aware of what's happening but powerless to change it. It's as if Billie is stuck in this state of longing, unable to move forward, but also unable to fully let go. Throughout Bittersweet, Billie recaps themes and motifs from earlier tracks like The Diner, L'amour de ma vie, and CHIHIRO, weaving them together with a line about opening up the door. This repetition ties the album's narrative threads together, giving a sense of cohesion to her emotional journey. The track ends with a soft-spoken outro that feels like a quiet resignation, setting up the stage for the album's finale. The final piece of the song is a synthy buildup, creating anticipation for what comes next, while also leaving listeners with the lingering feeling of unresolved tension that permeates the entire track. The final track on the album, Blue, is a stunning two-parter that serves as a powerful closer to Hit Me Hard and Soft. This song is a reworked combination of two of Billie's previously unreleased tracks. The first part, True Blue, was teased by Billie and Phineas years ago, with a demo that eventually leaked in February 2022. The leak inspired Billie to revisit the song and give it new life. The second part is Born Blue, a track that was originally intended for her 2021 album Happier Than Ever, but Billie ultimately couldn't figure out how to fit it into the project until now. Blue is a color that Billie strongly associates with herself, and this track dives deep into that connection. In the first half, during the chorus, Billie reflects on the process of coming to terms with herself. She admits that while she's making peace with who she is, she's still not over her ex. The verses in this part of the song touch on themes and metaphors from nearly every track on the album, except for The Diner, which is likely told from a persona rather than her true self. Lines like, "A bird in a cage thought you were made for me," beautifully wrap up the metaphors she's woven throughout the album. The second half of Blue, which is the reworked version of Born Blue, delves into the story of someone who grew up in a cold, unloving family, and how that upbringing has shaped their personality. This part of the song brings Billie to the final, crushing acceptance she needs. In the verses, she paints a picture of why her ex is so broken, but the chorus is an admission that she can't change or save them. It's a moment of clarity and resignation that feels incredibly raw. The bridge introduces a cool, robotic couplet where Billie sings about only sleeping 3 hours a night. It's deep, unique, and perfectly captures the exhaustion and emotional numbness she's been wrestling with. The lyrics, "It's over now," are brought back from L'amour de ma vie, signaling that Billie has finally accepted the end of this chapter in her life. The song and the album closes with a beautiful orchestral arrangement that gives a sense of finality and peace. The track ends with the phrase, "But when can I hear the next one?" There's a fan theory, though unconfirmed, that Hit Me Hard and Soft is part of a double album concept, with one half revolving around the color blue and the other red. I actually have a video exploring this theory, so if you're interested, I'll leave a link to it in the description. To wrap things up, Hit Me Hard and Soft is easily my favorite album of the year. It stands out from everything else we've gotten this year because of how carefully crafted it is. Billie takes some risks while staying true to herself, making this her most honest work to date. The whole album just fits together seamlessly. Some might say it's on the shorter side, but I think it's exactly as long as it needs to be, with every track having its place and purpose. I'm also really looking forward to seeing how Billie brings this album to life on tour. With the stage set to be in the center, surrounded by fans, it's going to create such an intimate and immersive experience, and I can't wait to see how she pulls it off. So, what do you all think of Hit Me Hard and Soft? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments below.